And that's the challenge with many people who talk about the difference between men and women. I recently had a conversation with my mom. My mom was like, well, men will say anything to get a piece. And I was like, true, but women will say anything to get married.
Hey.
And then get married because they want the marriage, not the person they're married to, go halfway into it, realize that's not where they want to be, and then start to dissolve. But here's the thing, you made that agreement. Or as you used to say in our church tradition, you made that blood covenant. A covenant is different than a contract. A covenant is for life.
Mm-hmm.
If you violated a covenant in ancient times, major problems.
Yeah.
And there's been anthropologists who've studied covenants in various cultures. But you don't want to be accountable to the fact that you engaged in sophistry, seduction, to get to what you wanted to get to. And I'm not talking about seduction in terms of women or seducers. I'm talking about when we use words to seduce others to get them to what we want them to do. Anyone can do that. Anybody.
Yeah, manipulate. You just call it what it is.
Manipulate.
Mm-hmm.
And then now you're in this situation that you find unsatisfying, dissatisfying. You're not living or being your higher self. That person cannot be their higher self with you because you're realizing, I don't like it here and I don't want to be here. But instead of just being accountable to the machinations that you engaged in to arrive at this point, you start to deflect and say, that's not for me. No, that's not what I meant. And it was different. It was supposed to be different. And I had a different vision. And I was supposed to, and he was supposed to, she was supposed. Come on. You made the agreement, and you made the agreement on fabricated terms or based off a fabricated vision. You did not make it out of an earnest, like a very serious, intentional sense of self and connection with another person's self. You made it based on want to be married. And I get it. Societal pressure still has us living into certain conventions and norms that most of us still want to attain to, whether it's ever something as materialistic and basic as buying a house. Some people should be renters for life or have an apartment, own an apartment, be in a condo co-op situation. But some people just, I need to have the house. So-and-so has a house. She has a house. The Joneses over there have a house. The Hendersons have a house. I need a house. So you enter a situation where you don't like manual labor. You don't like being handy. You don't want to learn how to be handy. And now you're pulling out money left and right, trying to rectify situations. And you realize, I never wanted to own a house in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
It's the same thing with marriage. You convince someone else to get married, not to be with them, be together, but to get married. And then once you're married, I don't like it here. I don't really like marriage. I'm not really the marriage type. Well, 3 kids later, here you are. Here you are, spreading darkness, potentially. Not everyone does. Some people learn to cope and have different coping mechanisms. But you're spreading darkness. Maybe you're cheating. Maybe you're flirting. You're breaking hearts and taking names. And instead of just saying, you know what, I did this to myself, which is really the beginning of healing, which is really the beginning of reimagination and restoration, you'll say it's not my fault because here comes the laundry list of villains and world breakers you're going to blame for the situation you're in. And this is the challenge that many people have with marriage, is that some people are getting married to be married. It may be a cover for something they're trying to hide about themselves. It may be a covering for something that you can live out in the open, like having children. Well, I got children, got kids, y'all. But you didn't want to have kids outside of wedlock.
Mm-hmm.
You didn't necessarily want to be married to this person. You wanted the marriage as a cover. Well, the marriage is doing its job. If it's a cover, it's covering you. It's a marriage. But you're dissatisfied because you have to live in that marriage. And that marriage means, on paper at least, and in practice, obviously, you have to interact with this person and be accountable on some level to that person. Even if you're keeping it light. What do I mean by light? Okay, we pay the bills together. You got your bank account. I got my bank account. We live in the same space. Maybe we're intimate once in a while. Boom, boom, boom. Bop, 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 bop. And that's the end of it. We watch a couple of shows together. We go to bed. Wake up and repeat. Well, even that, for some people, becomes an albatross around their neck. Because if you have a desire to grow out of that and they don't, look what's happening. For those who are listening, I'm doing a gap with my hands where one hand is higher and one hand is lower. And then as you start to go, look what happens with the rubber band effect. Boom, back down. Go up, boom, back down. And what's happening is that hand goes high, but the force of the hand below keeps dragging that other hand back down. So now you're frustrated because you want to grow, you want to evolve, but that pull of that dynamic you've established with that person is dragging you back down. Yo, I want to save because I want to start getting real estate investing. This person is budgetless. They wouldn't know a budget if you pasted it on their face and had them look in the mirror. And every time you try to get ahead, they're dragging you back down. They're dragging you back down. I have an idea. I have a friend I remember this Sopranos. I got a friend in Las Vegas. It was talking about Tony Soprano's father who wanted to get out of the mob lifestyle and go to Las Vegas. And right, your spouse brings you down. That's never going to work. You're not smart enough for that. Why do you think you can take risks like that? But this is the person that you said you wanted to be married to because you wanted marriage as a cover. You wanted the marriage, not the person.
Yeah. Could have been half on the rent or half on the bills. And to your point, you're going in with your own agenda and maybe only exposing or revealing certain bullet points on that agenda. Mm-hmm. And you have this person attaching their cart to your horse under the guise of we're aligned in what we want moving forward.
Yes.
But the only thing y'all really aligned on is that y'all want to sign this marriage contract.
Yes.
Y'all are not really aligned on the terms that y'all want to live under.
Yeah.
And that it's interesting to me how so many people end up there when you would think there's so like we're in such a sophisticated society where there's all of these questions you can ask. There's books about, you know, the top 25 questions you should ask before you get married, and there's all types of preventative measures you could take to end up here. There's prenups. It makes me wonder how so many relationships end up in that position when you would think there was all of this conversation and dialogue about once after I do what I view needs, what I view as something that I want to apply when we have a family, all of my different visions and goals for a marriage, long term, or where I want to live, things like that. You would have think that was talked about beforehand, but so many people end up in a situation where they're like you said, after 3 kids, even after 1 or even 6 months in, it's like, I don't like it here. But like, you create here. You curate here what that is. You curated that before y'all got married. Y'all talked about what here was going to look like. So if everybody's doing what they're supposed to do in the land of here, shouldn't here work out?
Marriage is not a flex.
Yeah.
Marriage is not a flex. I'd rather you take your money, put it into a Mercedes Benz. Now, this is not financial advice, nor are we financial advisors. Trust your trusted financial professionals for financial advice. But I'd rather take your money and put it into a Benz and stun on people in a nice Benz in a well-furnished apartment than getting married and trying to flex on people with marriage. Marriage is not a flex. Again, as we said in the previous podcast, romantic-centered marriages require and demand a lot out of you because you are ultimately in a spiritual union, a union of growth and connection, and that will demand everything out of you. Now, you get married with an understanding that this is just a covering and 2 people are on the same page, and y'all will then bullet point how you're going to keep that operation running the same way you would bullet point a business plan to keep that operation running, to keep the continuity of the business. That's different. What me and you have been emphasizing here, save the date, is the importance, the vital importance of communication, connection, and togetherness if you talk about romance-centered marriage, where you ultimately want to be tied and unified to the soul of another individual. That will demand everything out of you. And some things you don't have. That means you'll have to grow and build those things in order to be able to meet those needs. And what I'm talking about is not sometimes your spouse's needs, but your own needs that you'll have to grow into fulfilling.
Can I say something about this word? Like, I know it exists, this word needs, but to me, it can become problematic because of the way people treat their needs. People hang expectations on other folks for their needs, and I really don't believe people are here to fulfill your needs. I really believe that there is a collective need for the union that both people need to be working on, and it is not comprised of individual needs. And I say that because the more you affirm self, the more ego grows. The more you're gonna want what you receive. The more you get what you receive, you're gonna want it more. Like, we're not built for satisfaction. We're always built we're built for insatiability. We're always gonna want more of what we're getting.
Yeah, the eyes of man, like death and destruction. The eyes of man
never satisfied. And I think because of the way people treat needs, it is inappropriate and inconsiderate almost to put that on somebody else. Demand that of yourself. Give yourself what you need. That's how I feel. I'm not saying, I don't want to put that on anybody else, but I just
one model you're putting out there.
But I feel like in the conversation of fulfilling needs, we as people do not really know how to properly measure when someone is fulfilling a need. Because I might have the need for somebody to do something 5 times a week. They may have the capacity to do it for 3. But I'm punishing them for the 2 times they're not doing it because it's my need versus appreciating the 3 times they give it to me. You see what I'm saying?
Especially if it's communicated, hey, I can't do it 5. I could do it 3, though. I'll compromise and do 3. And them 3 will be, whoo, the best fill in the blank you've ever had. The best sex, the best garbage, whatever it is, picking you up after work and driving you. You're going to have the best drive home ever for 3 times out of the week. Now, the other 2, I'm going to need you to either carpool or we got to work something else out. Take a bus station.
But see, that's the thing. It's like we're still putting them on the hook for the other 2. The other 2 shouldn't even be part of what they have to fulfill. They can only do 3.
No, that's what I just said. They may communicate to you, I can't do the other 2. And then it's fine. Then you figure it out.
Oh, you're saying you as the person who has the need for
You say, okay, I take the train, the MARTA. We work together, obviously, collaborate. You may come with some ideas. Baby, I can't do this because of this. So here's some of my ideas. And then you have the tennis match. You enjoy each other's time in the game of figuring it out. But you don't hold them if they communicate it. I can't do that.
In the best of our traditions, bro, I think I would like to believe most human beings are like that. But just from what I've seen anecdotally throughout life, we're not like that.
No, I think people have historically been traumatized out of communication. I think and communication is more than just talking. It's observation, it's listening, it's thinking and mulling over what was said. It's being solution-oriented, creative, thoughtful, taking more time, allowing more. I just think we're not really, when I traumatize out of communication, I mean, you go to school and you raise your hand to take guesses at questions you may or may not be able to answer. You're rewarded for always being the first one to answer a question, to get things right. And marriage is not about getting things right. Marriage is about love. And love has a whole bunch of wrongs and squiggly lines and confusion and, circular issues that are a part of it. And I think we're not taught about the power of communication to really resolve issues and talk through some of the challenges that do emerge and will emerge in a marriage. And I think this is part of it. I agree with you. I think we have an issue with being able to verbalize, write down, think, literally take time to think about what you're saying, what the other person's saying in a compassionate, loving way to get to a place where there's mutual understanding, healing, and compassion and love. I just think we have a hard time.
Yeah. Well, that's what I was hanging it on, this idea of needs. And when we bring people in a relationship under the basis of I'm now relying on you to fulfill my needs, I feel like that's what we do.
Yeah.
Because it's not up. I don't feel like it's up to people to fulfill our needs. I really don't. I mean, I understand the concept of having a desire, but again, I don't feel like we're very gracious when it comes to how we treat our needs. Like we treat our needs like
idols.
Like if they're not fulfilled, something's wrong with the person. Mm-hmm. Not that the bucket is empty. There's something wrong with the person that didn't fill it.
Yeah,
it's just you have a deficit. That's all it is.
Yeah.
So I desire this because this is something that makes me feel good.
Yeah.
But the way we treat it is I desire something because it makes me feel good, and if you don't give it to me, you're wrong. Mm-hmm. I get to villainize you. Mm-hmm. And it's like there's something wrong with that to me.
Yeah, I agree. And I think I don't think strike through on that. I think sentence, phrase. I've been guilty of that because so much of what you hear about successful marriages is meeting needs, even in spiritual circles, religious literature. I believe that sometimes marriage is centered around needs because there are needs, but I love what you're saying, that the way we view our needs is very materialistic, that we expect a need to get met the same way, hey, I'm paying an HOA fees. That garbage may be taken out on Tuesday and Saturday.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Now, I'll let a Saturday and a Tuesday slip here and there. Okay, July 4th? No garbage.
No problem. Yeah, it's a holiday. We expect
Memorial Day week? Hey, no problem.
No problem.
But I see a steady pattern on Tuesday and Saturday garbage pickup, and I'm paying these HOA fees.
We got a problem.
You going to see me at the
HOA meeting.
The next HOA meeting.
For sure.
And I'm going to be loud and proud. Because if I don't pay my fees, you'll tell me you can't get garbage. Now, I've been paying my fees. Right. I even pay when I see the service is shoddy. And then you gonna tell me, hey man, listen, you get up there, hat in hand, and him and haul. No, pick up my garbage. Him and haul that. But that dynamic, that transactional dynamic happens in our marriage. No, I've been paying the bills. No, I've been doing the domestic work. No, I've been playing with the engaging the children. I have been fixing the lawn and doing lawn care and the handyman projects around the house. I've been. And then I've been in so much, and I'm not seeing service on the back end, needs met on the back end. Now we're in this clash as opposed to seeing and experiencing what may be really happening underneath that quote unquote lack of needs being met. What's really happening when my spouse is not able to follow up the way I needed to follow up. And sometimes, as you mentioned, and go back to the point I was just making a few moments ago, I think it boils down to communication. Just, there was an old phrase in sales, telling is not selling.
Mm-hmm.
Just like telling is not communication.
Right. It's just giving information.
Communication is, hey, let's have a conversation. It's sacred space. It's environment. It's talking and silence. Talking and then silence. It's allowing the person to express themselves. So then you repeating back to them, quality, active listening. We did this on our TikTok about 2 years ago.
Right.
Responding back. That's communication. Communication is, every Tuesday and Wednesday, head in the whip. I got to go to work. Talk to you later. Communicated what I wanted. No, you said what you wanted.
Yeah.
You said what you wanted. And there's room for that too. But if you said it, you communicated it, did you create space for someone to say, yeah, I'm not doing head in the whip.
Right.
I had in the car. I did that once and I got in a car crash. Well, I don't care what you're doing with the mother niggas. You ain't doing it with me because I'm going to tell you right now. And it's like, okay, here we go.
Yeah.
Did you communicate? Because communication to me includes time to respond, to think, and for you to listen and reflect back to them that you listened and engage with what's being said and engage with what's not being said. You can draw up and surface deeper needs or deeper fears or deeper traumas or deeper love or deeper triumphs or deeper victories that may be underneath the conversation that just need time to be excavated and surfaced. And there's room for all types of ways of communicating or stating things to your partner. Like I just said, hey, it is what it is. You're going to have some of that. But as I've always said to you, what is the ratio? If it's out of 1, right, it's out of 100%, is that 98% of how you interact with your partner?
Mm-hmm.
Then you have a problem.
Yeah.
Is it 10%, 15%? Okay, great. There's margins of error here. There's a pie here. So we need to it's not going to be 100% all the time. Nothing in life is. I had my therapist talk about meditation and the importance of meditation. And he was like, get out of your mind that you're going to do this 100%. 45% is 100% in some cases for people who are busy. And if you can reach a threshold of 45%, then you're doing well. That's how I need some people to look at their needs being met, to look at their distribution of how they interact with their partner. I do believe in meeting needs because me and you have said on this podcast, right? It's learning needs, fulfilling needs, and anticipating needs. Absolutely. But you are very, very right and correct in saying treating your needs where they almost become an albatross you wrap around the neck of your spouse. And if they don't do what they got to do, they're dragging this thing through town, dragging it through the grocery shop, dragging it through their house of worship, dragging it.
Capital punishment.
They're not moving fast enough. You kick them into the sea of forgetfulness. Well, wait a minute. You have a right to have needs, but you don't have a right to enforce with violence.
Yeah.
You don't have a right to enforce with violence.
Yeah. I guess it's just like that's really all I was trying to say is how we put them on other people sometimes.
Yeah.
Is problematic to me. I see issues with, when, like, if you were to say to me, hey, I need you to do X, Y, and Z, and I say I can't do it, and not you, it's like you accept it, but you look at me differently because I say I can't do it. Like, it's how we treat the person who can't fulfill what we want them to do. No problem with you having a need. Yeah. And there's no problem with you wanting it fulfilled. It's how we put it on people and how we punish them when it doesn't happen. Yeah. As if we have the right to do that.
Because my needs weren't filled.
Right. Because as if we have the right to do that, or we have some high ground on them, emotional high ground, or like there's a punishment that comes with my needs not being met. And I feel like if you know that, for instance, women who get their hair and nails done every week, a guy that gets a haircut every week, you don't all of a sudden, like if that's something if that's upkeep that you provide for yourself on a weekly basis, that's what you're going to do. So if you have a need for something specific, you should be trying to uphold and fulfill that need as much as you are relying on someone else to do it, is what I'm saying. Mm-hmm. And when we don't get it fulfilled by others, it's a problem. But we don't treat it like when we don't give our own selves what we need. And this is what I was saying before. Like, we don't treat other people's offenses to us the way we treat our offenses to ourselves.
You cry about what people have done to you, but you never cry about what you did to people.
Or what you do to yourself. We're not good to ourselves every day, so we know what it's like to be, not listened to be second guessed, because we do this to ourselves. We're critical of ourselves every day. We talk down about ourselves every day. And I'm not saying it's healthy, but it's normal. It's just part of our psyche and what we do. So we know how to be offended because we offend ourselves every day. We know how to be let down. We let ourselves down every day. We know what it feels like, but we don't treat our own letdowns, our own offenses to ourselves, our own when we lie to ourselves. We don't treat that the same like when we do other people. And so I'm saying it just feels very, like I said, it feels inconsiderate to put that kind of pressure on someone to perform and show up and deliver in a way that you don't even show up and deliver for yourself. That's what I see a lot in relationships. And I feel like if people started to, well, to your point earlier about taking accountability, what I was going to say about that.
Yeah.
You had talked about societal pressure, at least as it's associated with women, kind of programming them to pursue marriage, right? And you talked about the outcomes from that. Like, they get into marriage, they enter, matrimony, but they haven't really been taught these are the repercussions of this action. They were just taught the fantasy, the fairy tale. That's what they were sold.
Some is the protection of it. Yeah, yes.
And I feel like guys go through the same thing, where it's like when we're growing up, our rites of passage is sleep. Like you said, we learn how to say whatever we can get, say whatever we need to say to get some buns, right?
Yes.
And we're kind of told and pushed to have sex sometimes as early as 12, 13.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Sometimes a little earlier, yeah.
Sometimes a little earlier. And we're not told, given the full picture of what happens when we open ourselves up or launch our sexual career.
That early.
We're not told about what the implications and the deeper meanings about sex. We're taught about it from the physical act.
Yeah. And the status. And
in the same way, women are kind of sold, it feels great to be chosen and to be in love and it's wedded bliss. They're not really told about, this is what the commitment takes to be in that. In the same way, we're not told, this is what kind of happens when you open up yourself sexually with a woman. You may get your car keyed if you're old, if you're in that age group and you messing with girls who do stuff that. Or you just may open up a woman that, you didn't really intend on spending this kind of time with her, but now you're on the hook for it because she likes you in this way and you're feeling this demand of wanting to spend time. And you were like, I thought it was going to be, we weren't told.
Yeah. We weren't told about even how you may end up trying to keep it light and you get emotions.
Exactly.
Now you the one following around and crying and carrying on when you see her with someone else. I'm talking about literally crying. Some women got dudes. I'll say women. Some dudes have allowed themselves because they don't understand the repercussions. So be accountable, right? Not men themselves. They aren't ready, so they'll start crying and carrying on. You're right.
And I was going to say that's where we sometimes lack accountability because we'll keep going and doing it and sleeping with other women, knowing it's not the outcome you want, but that's what the outcome you keep curating.
Yeah, or that's part of your maybe subset of your male culture is sleeping with women, even though you don't feel comfortable with that, or you're not good at it. And you went in there for about 2 minutes and she sitting there like, oh yeah, I guess. And you're sitting there and like you're just doing that because this is what everyone else is doing, and I got to keep that appearance up. I got to keep that status up because it's covering me from the fact that maybe I'm more sensitive. And honestly, I would just like to settle down and be married. I'd like to be committed. I'd like to have something different with a woman. But, maybe you're in a culture where it's like, I bet at this one, I bet at that one. And people talk about numbers and they toss the numbers out and you get on that hamster wheel. Yeah, I got 20, I got 25, 30. Dudes are probably putting an extra 7 in there they ain't really got. But the numbers is pretty high.
But you know what, though? The way we be flaunting numbers is the way women flaunt their ring when they get engaged. This is what I'm saying. Like, we get told to do certain things, not given the full picture. And then once we launch that sexual career, once we get that ring, once we get into marriage, once we start sleeping around, we see like, oh, it's actually more than what I was told it was, what it is.
Yes, on both ends. I love that.
On both ends. And it's like, I'm seeing how women are like this outcome that you talked about. They get a couple of months in, a couple of years in, and they're like, wait a minute, I didn't sign up for this. And yo, I literally felt the same way. You know, maybe after sleeping with a couple of women, like, yo, I didn't sign up for these girls to just be falling in love and all of a sudden I gotta be their boyfriend because I thought we had this mutual exchange of physical energy. Like, bro, it's the same thing.
Yeah. And I will take it a step further coming from the guy's side to what you're talking about the sex. Yo, a pregnancy scare. Because keeping it 100, there are
102.
options once a woman gets pregnant. You can talk about abortions and all that. But when you don't really want to be with this woman and she goes, I'm keeping the kid.
And you like, I didn't sign up for this. Oh, you
I,
didn't?
yeah.
When you didn't put that condom on, you didn't sign up for this?
Or you did in the condom, bro. Hey, them the breaks. As the old
yeah,
folks say.
yeah, okay.
Hey,
Yeah, it happens.
you came to the table with a bunch of chips. You rolled snake eyes. I said,
That's the game.
that's the game. That's the game. That's I'm sorry. The next dude rolled and kept rolling, had a hot hand, and got out while he could. It's a game of chance.
Yeah, no,
One person walked away with 30 grand. You came in with 30 grand and walked away with the two guys in the back taking you back. Hey, you gonna pay this money or else? Right now. You know what I mean? Hey, you was thinking I just rolled one hand. I just did.
That's why Parker Brothers got it right, huh? Game of life, game of chance,
Yeah,
Monopoly, all of that. They got it right.
The brothers had it right.
Yeah.
So I think at the end of the day, keeping it real from a man's perspective, when she tells you, if this happens, if I'm pregnant, I'm keeping this kid, and you're like, this is the last person in the effing world
I wanted to procreate with.
Oh my gosh. And your mind starts going into all the drama you foresee, from baby showers to issues with
the family,
clothes, to your own financial situation not being right, to now you got a case on you and you in court, family court, getting this, and now you dealing with the judge and the lawyer and even more money you ain't got, family looking at you like, I told you not to mess with her. And it's like, no, you didn't, Grandpa, but hey, it don't matter because now you stuck. Grandpa not stuck. Grandpa
Right.
chilling.
Right. You're stuck.
You're stuck. And I remember that as a dude when, you don't have that ability. And so no one really tells you about, especially if you're the type of dude who's like, nah, I'm going to be there for my kid. But being now with your child is being wed to this person, not physically marriage, but being wed to a person you emotionally, spiritually can't stand. And no one, when you're getting that sex education talk, and I mean in the streets, like guys were telling you about, I'm hitting it from the back and hollering and eating and beating.
Make sure you put the one leg up over
Yeah,
there.
yeah, they're giving you all of that's not coming out of it because they're thinking, be smart, pull out, or use a condom. I never got caught. Now they're lying sometimes or not really telling you their full story. Like you said, there's more to the story of carrying that commitment. Just like there's more to the story of carrying that commitment in marriage. There's more to that story for young men. There's more to that story for young women. I know for me, man, that was, there was an old comedian on Comedy Central. I don't know his name, but I give him credit wherever he is, light-skinned brother. He said, HIV, is taking kids every day, taking lives every day.
Yeah, for real.
So I used to think about that. And then, you don't really have influence. Maybe it was casual, maybe you were cool. And now you're part of integrated to a family that has values you would never have. You would never want your children to be exposed to. So you're constantly trying to hustle with the love and the value instilling because you're with a situation with a woman. Say, yo, I'm keeping the kid. This is, you could be involved or you not be involved. Let me know what you decide. Call me back on Tuesday. Boop! You sitting there like this, like, and everyone's looking at you. You go to your parents or your loved ones, and it's like, hey, man.
I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah,
Guess you're gonna have to step up.
Yeah, you're gonna have to step up. And I bet not see my grandbaby and know fill in the blank. Because you ain't, but I was just getting ready to get my demo tape. Hey, you ain't rapping anymore.
No, that baby better be in the studio with you. You gonna hear some wham 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 on the track.
Yeah, because
you're gonna take care of that baby.
Yeah, we're gonna see to it. Not from her family, from our family. We're gonna see you take care of that baby.
Even if we have to step in and pitch in and help out.
Yeah, and then we'll put hands on you.
Facts.
We're gonna make your life difficult. You're gonna take care of that baby. And to me, you're right. That wasn't part of my sex game. And I was an HIV peer educator. I actually had spent time in a grant-funded program that was helping teens teach teens about HIV and AIDS and safe sex. But even that piece wasn't really, taught. I mean, there was more, I think, the option of abortion. That was where we were in the culture at the time. Now the culture's all over with abortion. But, if someone says no, just like you said, the marriage commitment, this will be great. You'll be elevated. You'll be celebrated. You'll be, the princess of the region. You'll be the queen of the house. And hey, shout out to those who did that and got that status and had that experience. My take from what I can see anecdotally from some women, they ended up being Cinderella.
Fact. Shoe dropping.
Yeah, and now you know cooking and cleaning and got to work to contribute financially, and it's just like, yo, what did I get myself into?
Yeah.
Person isn't considerate of your needs. Person don't listen. And you're the flip side of some who just they're gonna step because that's who they are and that's their personality. Because there's always those who have personalities to you know who are risk takers and seek to satisfy their own needs. So we could talk about the whole gamut, but I get it. I love what you said, man. No one's really giving you the full spectrum of the commitment.
Yeah. Yeah. So I can understand where the lack of accountability comes from, because they literally kind of wake up in this place like, yo, this is not where I thought this is not what I thought my marriage was going to be. Now, again, I talked about earlier, if they had talked about it before I do, they probably would have known that this was going to be the case. But, you know, a lot of people, like you said, they're saying what they need to get to cross the finish line.
Yeah. And I think, I hate to say this, some experiences are best experienced sober. It's hard to tell a drunk person, yo, you're really drunk right now. I ain't drunk. What you talking about? I've been drinking.
I only had
right? No
2
matter how
drinks.
much, then the drunk person will become belligerent the more you hammer it. No, son, you really are like drunk. I don't know if you
Yeah.
saw that you knocked the drink over, you spilled this, I had to clean that up. Man, fuck you. You always doing that drink. You always talking about I'm drunk. I ain't never been drunk. I ain't never been drunk. Wake up the next day. Yo, my bad, son. If they didn't black out
Right.
drunk. And then you meant to show them on video what they did if you filmed it. Nowadays, people have, you know, back in the day, they didn't have that, but now you can. Yo, this was you, son. Yo, my bad, son. Yo, I can't believe I spoke to you like that. I remember my old philosophy professor said when he was a kid, him and his friends went out drinking, got pissed drunk. I mean, like, yo, we about to go get our stomachs pumped. Somehow got home, dropped his friend off. His friend went in the house, made a ruckus in the house. His father's like, what are you doing? And he beat his father up. You know, I guess, and I don't know what beat up means if it's like because you're drunk, but probably a couple of fists where the father was anticipating it, got knocked out, maybe hit his head over something. But that's the point he was making. You think that dude willfully, I mean, I don't know what kind of drama they had or traumas they had together, but some experiences, some recognition is just best experienced sober. You have to get through it, right? Because you're telling someone before marriage, hey, man, don't do this. Or think about this. Have you communicated that? Yeah, I read that book. Okay, have you watched it? Yeah, listen to our podcast. Have you watched? No, I watched it. We good. We good over here. Over here, we good. 2 or 3 years later, ding dong. Hey, listen, can I just talk to you about what you were talking about before I got married? You know,
Whole tone change.
yeah.
Yeah.
Some things are just, some experiences are best experienced sober. And you have to let that person sober up. Sober up from the drug of feeling in love.
Yeah.
Sober up from the drug of the high of I'm getting married and the status is going to afford me. Sober up from the drug of look how many women I didn't slept with. Sober up from the drug of, yo, because I've seen this happen where I've made this quip many years ago. You could have a dude who's broke, doesn't have any quote unquote trappings of success, but if he sleeps with a lot of women, he has respect in the street. You could have a dude who's like, oh man, I got to get home. My stipend for my PhD won't let me go to the club. And it's like, oh, look at this loser. Meanwhile, dude living at home, not doing nothing, but he has an uncanny
Video
ability.
games all day. Yeah.
Uncanny ability to beat, ain't thinking about life in any kind of long-term scenario, and he got more respect than the PhD dude.
Air mattress with the Timbs next to it.
Yeah, and he beating broads. Boom. And the PhD dude who's doing his PhD in, you know, quantum chemistry.
Palmer to look forward to tonight when
Exactly.
he get finished.
I'll get out of here. You know, I might just finish up my PhD and then I'll go to Singapore. Man, Singapore, these nuts. Get up out of here. Singapore, these nuts. Singapore, those nuts. Yeah. But the dude who's beaten, he got respect.
Yeah.
So again, he's too drunk. He's too high.
Off the.
You're trying to talk to him. Yo, son, listen, stop, calm down. You're creating problems for yourself. Maybe, you know, when he has rock bottom, as they say, and a lot of addiction-based thinking and approaches, when someone's yearning to get sober, be sober, that's when they could listen. You do your best while they're high. You do your best. Some people will break the high and like, wait a minute, what'd you say?
Yeah.
I got to do what? But most times people are too high off their expectations and what they think this status is going to give them and accord them. You have to wait till they're sober. That's it.
And on that note,
man, that was, yo, guys, we done been there, Jay and I.
past that offering, that collection plate.
Yeah.
I feel like we preached tonight, bro. I don't know.
Oh, let me tell you, that's a story for another time. How I ended up, you know, my long-term relationship, my marriage, right? Me and you know my story. Like, there's sometimes no breaking somebody out of something they're so convinced about. You have to wait till they get sober.
Yeah.
Myself included. I'm not being argumentative or pejorative or judging or stating that people need to do X or do Y. I'm recognizing sometimes the cycles of life. Not that I wish anyone to be in such a rock bottom situation that they feel crushed by the weight of their decision. Like, oh no, I'm having a child with someone I don't care about, or oh no, I'm stuck in this marriage and I'm flirting with my coworker and now I feel a better connection here. That I don't want any of that for anybody to feel so weathered and torn by their decisions. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is just sometimes we have to let the cycle happen, and the best we can do, is me and you were talking offline before we hopped on this call, is be supportive and loving to that person as best as you can. And that's hoping what we can do with our podcast is give you enough game and insight and
Thought
experiential
intrusion. Yeah.
so that you don't make a decision, because maybe some of y'all are not in that high yet, and when you get into that high, you can recall something we said, something another podcaster or interviewer or pundit said, or any literature you read, and you'll be that much more prepared to enter the decision honestly by communicating effectively with the person you're going to be with. More importantly, communicating effectively, like Jay said, with yourself. Anyway, on that note, this is Save the Date. Always a pleasure. Just follow us at Save the Date Now, TikTok, Instagram, YouTube. And so my name is Heath.
I'm Jamie, y'all.
Until next time, take care.
Peace.